such an amazing thing to see people of every race, creed, and color linked arm in arm together in protest to make sure that black people have the right to loiter? So I was having lunch with a friend today, and I asked her what she thought about the whole Starbucks controversy that's going on now. And she said, oh wow, like I saw that story, it was terrible, it was racist. I can't believe Starbucks would do that. And I mentioned to her that I thought that there were some shades of gray with this story here. And she was like, well, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, look, first of all, I'm not gonna deny that true racism happens. As a matter of fact, I saw a story that goes back to January of 2018 in California, where there was some actual hardcore racism going on, and it looked like this.
I just typed in, I asked for the code.
You asked for the code and they just gave it to you,
Yeah.
right? Before you made a purchase?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Come on, let's go. Are you done? Were you about to get something?
Well, I was gonna get food.
Are you gonna get food?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is Weston. And Weston hadn't made a purchase yet, you guys. So I would like Starbucks right here on Redondo, on Artesia and Hawthorne. This man right here said he hasn't made a purchase yet. He's in line to make a purchase, and you guys haven't you guys had gave him the code, right? Isn't that what you did? No, this is not your business. This is not your business. This is not your business though. Okay, you may be a store manager, but you're not in charge. I'm not allowed to be in here anymore. Why? You see, they're so mad. Why are they upset with me, Weston? What did I do? I just tried to use the bathroom like you did, and they gave it to you. Is it my skin color? 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 I can use the bathroom, but Weston could. Amen. I feel it may be my skin.
Okay, so here on this channel, I'm always trying to point out the way that, you know, your corporate overlords are trying to play the divide and conquer game with us and get us to fight amongst ourselves so that we don't unite and become powerful and overthrow them. So stories like what you just saw, where there is no argument as to whether or not what happened was racist. You can't have a policy where you say, oh, okay, we don't give the bathroom code to people who aren't paying and then give it out to white people and not black people. No, like no one can argue that. This is a very cut and dry story, and that is exactly why it was not promoted by the mainstream media. No, instead, what we get is this thing with this story here today with Rashon Nelson and Donte Robinson. Now, what happened in this situation was that these two gentlemen walked into the Starbucks, immediately asked to use the bathroom. Now, they were told by the manager, whose name is Holly Hilton, that the restroom is only for paying customers. Well, then these two guys sat down at a table and just proceeded to wait because they had a friend who was coming. So later, Holly Hilton comes over to them and she asks them, hey, can I take your order? Can I get you guys some drinks or something like that? And they say no. And I don't know if they said to her or not that they had water on them. I don't know if she could see that they had already brought water into the store, but this is what they said on Good Morning America, that they'd already had drinks and they were fine, and that they were getting ready to have a business meeting and they weren't going to order anything. I don't know if it was just at that time or they planned on ordering it later, but she was sent away. Now, Robinson and Nelson, in their Good Morning America interview, they didn't mention that she being Hilton, the manager, they didn't mention that she had asked them to leave. I don't know what's up with that, but according to what the police were saying, she did ask them to leave and they had refused to leave. To figure out what happened there, Starbucks should have some sort of video cam footage, and it would be interesting if they would release that so we could see what's actually going on, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. So then the police come, and according to Nelson and Robinson, they were in complete shock. They couldn't believe that this was happening. The police never read them their rights, and before they knew it, they were handcuffed. Now, according to the police chief, the police officers had asked them multiple times, and I think that Robinson and Nelson did mention that they had been asked by the police to leave. But they had been asked by the police to leave multiple times, and they did not leave. So then they were arrested. The police chief said when they told the two black gentlemen to leave that not only did they start arguing with them, but they also began to insult them.
Starbucks said that according to the company policy, they do not allow non-paying members or non-paying people of the public to come in and use the restroom. And so they then asked these two males to leave. In an effort to quell the situation, officers actually called for a supervisor so that it would not get out of hand, something that was a good decision. And 3 different occasions, the officers asked the males politely to leave the location because they were being asked to leave by employees because they were trespassing. Instead, the males continued to refuse, as they had told the employees previously, and they told the officer that they were not leaving. When the call was initially made, the Starbucks employees had told the males that they were going to call police, and they said, go ahead and call police, we don't care. So police get there and they're confronted by the same type of attitude, and repeatedly are told that they're not leaving. In fact, there's some alleged rhetoric about you don't know what you're doing, you're only a $45,000 a year employee, or something to that regard.
So here's where the gray area comes in. I can completely put myself in these 2 guys' shoes and completely see where they're coming from, and at the same time I can put myself in the shoes of people who think that this is a ridiculous situation and these guys are just entitled and crying and spoiled, or whatever you want to call them. Let's try to go down through empathy here on both sides. Let's look at both sides of the argument. So if I'm these guys, and I'm just going to Starbucks, and I've probably been to multiple Starbucks in my life, I'm like, all right, I just go in and I just hang out. And here's one of the problems, is that Starbucks does have this policy that they promote nationally, where Starbucks is like kind of like your neighborhood hangout, and you can just go in there. And I think anyone who's ever really been to a Starbucks has gone in there and seen that people just hang out and they don't necessarily buy things, and it's fine. So this is what is in their head when they're going. We're just gonna go and chill, it's fine, we've seen this done a million times before. So they're there, they're waiting for their friend, next thing they know, here come the police. And in their mind, they're like, hey, we're not doing anything wrong. We get to hang out here just like it's the public library. Everything's fine. I don't know what's going on. And if the police tell me to leave, I don't know if at that moment, perhaps they decided to just take some sort of stance. I think maybe, because it's hard to imagine that people don't understand that when the police tell you you need to leave unless you plan on going to jail. But they were asked multiple times, they refused, and they got arrested. And I really think that maybe I'm speculating that maybe they just, I don't know, perhaps wanted to make a stance and say this is wrong, and they really don't understand why does everybody else get to hang out here and not buy anything and we don't, and this is, this has to be racist. It has to be because of the color of our skin. And I completely understand where they're coming from. And then you have to look at the other side, and that's people who are saying these guys are just straight up loitering and what's wrong with them. And here with this argument, once again, we're getting down to the Starbucks policy. I think what some people don't understand is that Starbucks allows individual stores to have their own policies, and this store did actually have a policy, like an anti-loitering policy, because I think what's happening is some of the busier stores, you're going to have a problem if you actually have a lot of business and you have people who are just coming in and sitting down and taking up table space and not buying anything. Then you're taking away from the access for the actual paying customers who you want in there. So then you have your other stores that aren't as busy and they don't care about people coming in and sitting down because there's plenty of table space for paying and non-paying customers. This policy is confusing, but I think that you can see where people would say, okay, I have some people coming into my business and they're not buying anything, and I ask them, I come up and I say, hey, like, can I take your order? And they say, no, like, I'm not ordering anything, but I'm just gonna hang out here. Businesses have the right to ask you to leave. Like, that is called loitering. You're not allowed to come in and just hang out and not pay for things. And so I think that's where people aren't meshing. And so you're always gonna have one side saying, absolutely, these guys were loitering. Like, why would you ever go in here and not buy anything? What's wrong with you? And then the other side saying, oh, like, everyone's just allowed to come in here and hang out. And it's just like a big family atmosphere. And I don't need to buy anything because this is what they tell me, like in their corporate policy, but then the stores have like a completely different policy. And so everybody fights. Now, if it were me in this situation, none of this would have happened. I don't go into establishments and not buy things. Like, I would feel weird. That's just not how I was raised. And I've been in this situation many times. Anybody who's ever been to New Orleans completely understands this situation. That's one of the reasons why New Orleans has a huge problem with public urination, is because there's no bathrooms and you absolutely have to buy something before you can go to the bathroom. There's just tons of places where you go and you have to buy something in order to be in there and sit down and enjoy table service or enjoy having a place to sit. I've been to Starbucks and I've been there waiting for people before, and I just think it's rude. It's rude if you don't buy something. And I understand that there are people who are fine with that, but that's not me. So I always go in and I buy something. Or if I'm somewhere and I ask to use the bathroom, they're like, oh, you gotta buy something first. I'm like, all right, what's your cheapest thing? I'll buy it. I'll go to the bathroom. Problem solved. Or, if I were to, and because I don't even get past this point, but if I were to speak to the police and they said, oh, you have to leave, I would immediately leave. You know why? Because I don't want to go to jail. I don't have a criminal record, and I'm kind of proud of that. That's a thing for me. I'm pretty clean cut. And I like to keep it that way. There's another layer to this that I saw. There's a side from a lady named Aisha Cash, and she's a former employee of the same Starbucks, and she worked underneath Holly Hilton. She wrote online or posted online that Holly Hilton is definitely racist. Let me add for a second that Aisha Cash blames Holly Hilton for her being demoted, leading to her quitting because of a pay cut. So this is somebody who did not like her. So there may be a little bit of bias in here, but I'm still going to read her words. So Aisha says that she, being Holly, always found a reason to kick black people out. She was way more likely to ask them to leave over white people who hadn't made a purchase. So according to Cash, this particular manager did throw out both races. She just felt like she being Hilton, the manager, was more likely to throw out black people. And this is a problem. If you have a policy, you need to apply it just across the board. You can't say, oh, I like white people a little bit more, so, let's throw the black people out. No, you've got to treat everybody the same. Cash went on later to say that, I'm going back to quoting her, baristas were usually told to ask them to leave because Holly was so uncomfortable confronting them. Then Cash also said that Hilton had called the police several times on people while she was there, but they were always black people. And that because of those actions, many of their black customers who were regulars started going to other stores. I'm going to go back to directly quoting Cash again. Holly was always very careful with what she said, but you could see her racism from the way she acted around people of color. That doesn't exactly bode very well for Hilton there. Oh, I can't believe I'm about to stick up for Starbucks. I don't even drink coffee. Starbucks isn't racist. Starbucks doesn't hate black people. And having anti-loitering policies isn't racist either. Now, the implementation of these types of policies can be racist, and that may be what has occurred in this situation. Or maybe it wasn't racially motivated. Holly hasn't come out and said anything for herself, and the accounts that are given where she is racist are given by someone who clearly doesn't like her. This is not the most important story in the world. It really isn't. Like, honestly, right now, I'm more concerned about the genocide of the Yazidi people that's going on, and how the men are being beheaded and the women and the children are being sold into sex slavery. I'm working on a video right now to try to explain what's going on exactly in Syria. Like, to me, like, these are the big issues that we need to be focusing on, not this, because this is just, hey, look, you could say they're trespassing, you could say they're not trespassing, and actually, honestly, no, I think you're in the wrong before that. I don't think that you should go in to a business and then just sit down and like not order and just enjoy the comforts and well, I don't know, it's hard because they do say, I don't know, they do say that that's okay, and then some locations say it's okay and some locations say it's not. And this is what makes this a great story to promote, to keep people fighting, because even I can't agree on how exactly I feel on this story. I'm like, yeah, I see this side, I see the other side, I don't know. If you like this video, subscribe and give it a thumbs up. I'm right from right, left of center, and if you're watching, you're probably right too.